when you were applying for your master's program in OT, what were the general requirements like across, all the universities and colleges? Were there any unique requirements for U of T specifically?
Yeah, so in Ontario, most of the schools have similar requirements. So U of T, Queen's, and Western, those three have the same requirements. So the requirements was just finishing undergrad, and also you have to have a statement of intent and kind of answer a question that they have about like current trends in OT. So I think what they're really looking for is that this person who's applying has really considered OT as an option. They've really
Yeah.
done the research. They've had experience in the field related to OT, and they really know what OT is. So it's not necessarily that you have to be studying a certain field to get in, but more
Right.
that like you've taken the time to really explore the field and
Right.
OT.
Gotcha. And how did you begin your application process to become an OT master's student at U of T? And where else did you apply?
Yeah, so the applications usually open in October, I believe, the year before, and they close, I think, in January typically. So the process was mostly like gathering the required documents I needed, so the references I needed, and requiring that's required for the application, and also for UBC, which is the only school I believe in Canada who requires this. They require a volunteer hour requirement for the program. So I think I don't remember the specific number, but you
Right.
are required to have a certain number of hours for interaction with adults or young adults, kids with disabilities.
Interesting. And what would you say is a decent GPA to have a competitive application?
I think it varies every year because
Right.
it's based on who applies kind of. But during my year, I think like a decent GPA would be 3.7 would be like minimum to get in, I would say. But it is different for every school. And I wouldn't discourage anyone who has a GPA that is lower than that to not apply because they do look at you as a whole person. They look at your experience a lot. And I wouldn't say like just because someone doesn't make that GPA cutoff not to apply because it's definitely worth a shot.
Gotcha. And generally, how long are OT programs?
Yeah, so all the Canadian ones are 2 years long, and it's continuous full time. So we only had a month off in the summer. It goes
Okay.
throughout the summer. But for I can speak to kind of the U of T program.
Yeah,
We
for sure.
we have four placements.
Cool.
So throughout the 2 years, the first placement is in first year, and then the last three placements are in second year. So you get to go out and work in hospitals or in the community or internationally, depending on what your interests are,
Yeah.
and get the hands-on experience, which I think was one of the most important components of the program.
Gotcha. And if you're to redo your application, how would you make it better, or what would you have done differently in your undergrad to enhance your application?
I think that if I was able to shadow more OTs, that
Mhm.
would definitely have helped
Gotcha.
me get an idea of what OT even, what the
Is
different fields were.
right.
Because I think going in, I didn't realize that it was such a diverse field, that there's so many fields you can get into. So there's
Right.
like mental health, which I hadn't even considered before. I didn't realize there was an OT role there. So there's acute, there's rehab, pediatrics. So we're working with clients of all ages. And I guess that was something I didn't realize before going in, was that we actually worked with a huge variety of patients and clients.
Gotcha. And during the application process with U of T, was there an interview?
No, there was an interview with U of T. There is an interview with UBC and McMaster.
Gotcha.
Those are the two
Have you
universities.
heard anything about their interviews, or what they're like?
I've heard about the UBC one. It is a panel. So I think there is an occupational therapist, there is a admin person from U of T, usually a professor, and then there is a third person, I think like an OT working in the community.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
Now, it's very interesting that you said you really catered to your experience because you knew you were going to OT. And I know a lot of successful people who have gotten into these master programs, so be it an OT or PT or even med school or Cairo much more successful if the earlier they can cater that undergrad experience. Now, did you do the same specifically for U of T, or did you just do it, knowing those OT requirements and then general nice to haves before applying?
I didn't cater it specifically to U of T. I'd say most of the programs in Canada are very similar. The kind of student they're looking for is very similar. So someone who has really done their research and really
Gotcha.
knows that they want to be in this field and they're
Yep.
very passionate about working with this type of population. And I think that for anyone who's interested in going into OT, like just get as much experience as you can, talk to as many people as you can, and really do the research to figure out like, is this a good fit and why is it a good fit? And
Great.
what are some of my personal traits that I
Yeah.
have that make me a good fit for this?
For sure. So my last question around, your entire application was, what made you choose U of T at the end of the day?
I think the most important part was U of T has a really good network with the hospitals here. So at U
Mhm.
of T, on our on our street alone, there's 3 hospitals, like
Yeah.
major hospitals downtown Toronto, and that's where the school is located. And that's
Gotcha.
something that really drew to me because I was like, that they have such a good placement program. There's 4 placements. I know some schools only have 3, and they just have such a vast network within the GTA that I knew that they would have the best opportunities for me. Yeah,
Fantastic.
and I
Yeah.
think it was also the city as well. Like
Yeah.
Toronto is an amazing city. I love it. I love it
The
here.
fact that you can say that as a Vancouverite is so surprising.
I know it's different. Like Vancouver, I
Yeah.
love for the outdoors.
Yeah.
But Toronto has a great city life. There's always
Right.
something going on, and
For
it's
sure.
very exciting. There's sports teams here that
Yeah.
really bring people together.